At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce your keynote speaker, Paula Petersen. Paula is Senior Vice President of Commerce Bank Shares and Director of Strategy, Marketing, and Finance. Paula also serves on the Executive Management Committee of Commerce. She is responsible for corporate planning and strategy, marketing, and the development of an enterprise culture. Paula grew up in a family of bankers in Wichita, Kansas, and she grew up knowing she wanted to be a banker. As a teenager, she worked in a number of entry-level banking jobs and learned about the role that banks play in a community. After completing her finance degree at Wichita State, she moved to Kansas City and took a position with Commerce. Paula has now been with Commerce for 29 years and is very much committed both to this community and to Commerce Bank. Recently, she was named to the Kansas City Business Journal's list of women who mean business. Paula is a graduate from Block School's EMBA program and has been an active supporter of the school over the years. She serves on the Dean's Advisory Board, the Executive Education Advisory Board, and she has been the executive sponsor for the Commerce Leadership Development Program that is offered at the Block School. Please welcome Paula Petersen.
Thank you, Dean Klaus, and good afternoon to the graduates, the faculty, all their friends and family. I know it's a big day for you to be celebrating, and I'm honored to be part of it. As Dr. Klaus asked me to be the speaker, I thought, gosh, that's a lot of pressure to come up with words that are meaningful, that could maybe make a difference in your life. And then the anxiety of speaking never goes away, no matter how old you are or how many times you've done it. But as I thought about being a student, a fellow Roo, and sitting where you did, I thought, gosh, I really want to do this. I have a connection with them. And so here I am. As I was preparing, I also was reading a lot of things, a lot of quotes from Henry Block. And I was fortunate enough in my time at UMKC to get to meet him several times. And so a quote that I found that meant a lot to me: I have a debt to the people of Kansas City. Everything I have, I'd have nothing without the people of Kansas City. That's the biggest thing I like to do, help people in Kansas City. So my shadow is a fraction of that great man, but as Dr. Klaus said, I do think that part of my responsibility as a business person in Kansas City is to give back, and I do have a passion for the city. So I wanted to just say thank you for letting me come and speak to you today, and hopefully I can share a few things that I think are important for you to be successful in life. So students, as I look out at you, it was 12 years ago with my EMBA that I sat in your same chair. And I know you've worked really, really hard to get there. So take a minute, give yourself a high five, you did it, and kind of bask in the glory. As I was thinking about all the work that you do as a student, I thought of a quote from Colin Powell. Whenever you start, give it your best. The opportunities are there to be anything you want to be. But wanting to be someone isn't enough. Dreaming about it isn't enough. Thinking about it isn't enough. You've got to study for it, work for it, fight for it with all your heart and soul, because no one's going to hand it to you. So Dr. Klaus mentioned I grew up in a family of bankers, and I would say I'm a bit unique, which might mean a little weird. I knew when I was 3 years old what I wanted to be when I grew up. And you might say, gosh, at 3 years old I inspired to be a princess or an astronaut. But no, in fact, I did want to be a banker. So in hindsight, I think about maybe at 3 years old, I hadn't quite figured out what that meant, but I knew my dad was one. I knew he got to get up and wear a suit every day. He had a nice office. And when I was out and about with him, people were always thanking him for what he had done to help them. So in my mind, other than being a superhero, I couldn't think of a cooler thing to be. So even though I had it figured out when I was 3 years old, my parents kind of squashed it and said, gosh, I think probably you should go ahead and go to school first. Maybe learning how to read and do math and things like that would be important to your job. So I would say I put my dream of being a banker on hold for 15 years, went to school, studied really hard, and then during my senior year in high school, I got to become a banker. They hired me to do special projects in the marketing department. And then when I turned 18, I could be a teller. I did it. My dream had come true. So when I was on the top of the world celebrating that, my father said to me, I know you think you've accomplished all you want to accomplish, but I think you need to remember you need to work hard and continue to learn. Opportunities will come your way, but you've got to be ready. If you aren't ready, those opportunities will be somebody else's. So I'm sure when he told me that, much like my kids do to me today, I rolled my eyes. But when I look back in hindsight, my father was very wise, and that advice he gave me has served me very well. So graduates, as you walk out these doors today and begin or continue your career, remember to always give it your best. Take initiative and continue to learn. Make sure those opportunities don't become somebody else's. So for 35 years now, don't do the math, I have been a banker. I get to learn each and every day, which is great. I'm fortunate, as Dr. Klaus said, to have been at Commerce for 29 years, and I've had a lot of different positions. But one of the things I appreciate most is I've been encouraged all along the way to continue to learn. So in 2005, after I had been at the company for 15 years, my manager approached me and said, gosh, would you want to go to UMKC and be part of their EMBA program? And really, this was my first chance to think about the world as anything else but a banker. So I was kind of debating my situation and could I really go back to school? I had 2 young kids. I was a single mom. So as I was debating this, I heard my father's words again. Continue to learn, continue to advance. If you don't get ready, opportunities will come and someone else will get them. So I decided to go ahead and make that leap of faith, and the next week I started classes. So I often joke and say if I had had more time to think about it, I may have lost my nerve, but there I went. So 2 short years later, actually you students know it's not 2 short years. Sometimes those years are really long, and sometimes the amount of sleep that you miss is great. So 2 years after I started, I walked across the campus with the same bagpipes that you guys heard today and sat where you're sitting. And it was such a great feeling to be graduating. I think it was probably that experience and my work as Commerce's culture champion that really made me want to pay it back and share with people what I felt like what was important to be a leader. I think that taking initiative, and no matter how much you know or think you know, continuing to learn. So how do you do that? I think that really starts with an attitude of gratitude. I know life happens, and there are times all of us go through challenging situations or have a lot of bad stuff that happen to us. That's going to happen. But if you step back and look, we all have a lot of good stuff that happens to us too. We're really pretty blessed. So for example, think about how blessed you are to be a part of a city like Kansas City. Think how blessed you are to have graduated from college. And today you're blessed with all these wonderful people I saw stand up who have been supporting you along your journey and are here today celebrating your success. If you think about gratitude, as simple as it sounds, science has proven that having an attitude of gratitude is powerful. The benefits are almost endless. Some of the things that gratitude does, it makes us happier, it makes people like us, it makes us healthier, it boosts our careers, it boosts our self-esteem. Gratitude gives us more energy, it helps us relax, it improves our decision-making, and it gives us perspective. So if you think about gratitude, when you're grateful, it's often accompanied by your wisest thinking. So if we're grateful, we're more resourceful and we're more creative. We're really better positioned to achieve results regardless of what challenges come our way. So let's think back to the first quote I read, or that advice from my dad. Work hard and continue to learn. Think how much easier it is to learn when you're in a grateful mood. When we are grateful, we're more open to new ideas and we're more curious. So you might think, curiosity, what's that about and why is it so important? If you look up curiosity in the dictionary, you will find it means the desire to learn more about someone or something. So kids are naturally curious. They haven't yet figured out how the world works. They don't have a bunch of preconceived ideas about how things are supposed to be, and they often wonder why. So any of you who have a little person at home, the number of times they ask you why is incredible. They have a natural curiosity. So think about yourself as an adult and what often happens when you are approached with a new idea. I can see the wheels spinning, and you're right. A lot of times when someone approaches us with a new idea, we think of everything that's wrong with it. We pretty quickly move to a role of critic or judge. And that really isn't uncommon, especially if we're experts on the topic. So we know what things are, and we have a picture of what it's supposed to be. After all, we are the experts. So we've stopped being curious, and maybe we've even made being judgmental a bit of a habit. So I encourage you, as you hear new ideas, approach them different. Try to stay curious. So consider things like not everyone sees the world the same way that you see it. They might have a different perspective and one that you haven't considered. Wonder why. Have that childlike curiosity and really be curious why somebody else might think differently than you do. As you listen to their idea, if you don't like the whole thing, is there a kernel of their idea that you can really take and make even better? And then as you think about your career and you're asked to take on new roles or you're asked to take on a promotion, sometimes when we get those opportunities, we think, gosh, that's not really something I'm interested in. As you get those opportunities in life, really step back and be curious, because sometimes it might be the role that you need to continue to learn and to broaden your perspective. So when I think about why curiosity is so important, I think about the power and the necessity of really being curious in this changing world. So if you guys look around us, I think that it's safe to say we've never been through a time in history with so much pronounced change. If you think about the world around us and how much it's changing and the pace of change keeps getting faster and faster, if you had told me probably even 5 years ago that I could order something on my phone and have it beat me home today from graduation, I would have thought you were crazy. So everything around us is changing. The way we do business is changing, the tools that we do, the kind of jobs that are out there, and consumer preferences change every day. So if we get stuck in the way of thinking that this is the way we do it versus what could be, we'll find ourselves like other great companies or great people who stop being curious. So think about companies that existed, even a couple of years ago that aren't around anymore because they stopped being curious. So being curious means that you can see those obstacles or changes as opportunities or challenges that can be met and overcome. New ideas, new products, and a new business ideas often come from taking advantage of change and finding a new way. We can manage an uncertain environment through iteration, staying curious, and learning along the way. As you try new things, remember they're not all going to work, but if you don't succeed, you will learn. So today as you leave, I encourage you all to move forward with a curious mindset, and remember when you couple that with initiative and being grateful, this is a mindset that can open up a whole new world for you. It can help you recognize and embrace different perspectives and different ideas. It can really help you be at your best and give your best. It can help you as you continue to learn and work for it. It can help you grab those opportunities and really will allow you to be anything that you want to be. So thank you for your time today, and congratulations.